Hello, everyone. It has been a hot minute since we got to this game, huh? In between being a bit sick and in between attending a wedding that was on Friday, yes, on Halloween, I have been pretty busy. And so that means that I've had to skip 2 Fridays, which means 2 episodes of Mars First Logistics. It took me loading up my save file to actually remember where we were, but the answer is we had just gotten to the tornado-y area and finished off the stream by floating away in a tornado and getting flung around a bit. So we scouted out to see what the actual delivery points around there were, but let's see what the actual contracts that area requires and see if we can't finish a few of them, you know? And I think it's probably a good idea to just hop straight into it, shall we? Fire things up here. Should get feed in a second. There we go. We have a mission to deliver the solar receiver over to 1.5 kilometers away. Let's retool our device a little bit right here. This should work. You know what? That'll do. I hope. Feels good to be back in the saddle of this game. And we're starting off at the very start with a kind of interesting gimmick. Let's reset our vehicle real quick here and take a better look at what we've got going on here. We have a dedicated crane just for this purpose. So we need to find a way to grab this thing and hook it onto the crane's hook, and then manually control the crane with its 4 buttons there. Unfortunately, I don't think this arm thing is gonna do the job for us. Yeah, looking dubious. So, to the drawing board. Okay, good. The beeline buggy is suited. Wow, that worked a lot better than I expected. Hey Conley, happy to see you. And hello as always to any lurkers. Okay, so this thing can't... The crane itself can't extend, so I do need to get it actually in rotational alignment. One fascinating thing, though, that I want to cover here is... I have a little bit of news about something I'm very, very excited about. Conley in chat, having attended lots of my streams, pointed out something to me. We've previously done the Katatema developer highlight, and I think at some point I probably have mentioned that they created a game called Pudding and the Shield Harp, or something along those lines. And unlike the rest of Katatema's game, well, like the rest of Katatema's games, the game is in Japanese, and this one had not been translated yet. That is where the exciting news comes in. Out of nowhere, this Steam page for Katatema's new game, Pudding and the... Hang on, what was the localized title? Let me go actually find that out 1 second. Pudding, Liar Knight is going to be translated fully to English on the 11th. And so what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to 100% that game on my own time, and then after I do so, I'll find a socket for it. And the Katatema developer highlight will continue. Meanwhile, though, this is a successful mission. Thank you again, Conley, for pointing that out to me. Blueprint unlocked grappler. 5 new parts, 3 new types of part, and a contract to deliver a solar mirror. So, this little thing that we're building here is based on a real technology, which is a molten salt solar generator. I might have the terminology a little bit wrong there, but the idea is that you point... You know how you can focus a magnifying glass in order to burn one tiny spot? That concept extends. Like, that works at scale. And so if you get a whole bunch of mirrors that are all angled to point at a singular thing, in this case the top of this tower, then all of the sunlight will accumulate and warm up that one spot into a absolutely absurdly hot object. And so with that you can melt stuff. As a very inefficient method of doing foundry work, but more importantly, hot stuff is useful for power, and so hot stuff is useful for boiling water. There we go. And boiling water is the cornerstone behind almost all power generation. Boiling water to spin a turbine is the cornerstone behind a lot more power generation than you might think. And so I think the idea is that you use salt and put it in there until it is utterly molten, and then use that as the heat source. I hope you enjoy my half-remembered science explanation. Please research that on your own time, because I am certain I've gotten several elements of that wrong. More importantly, though, we have a vehicle called the Grappler. And yes, that's right. We have a friggin' grappling hook now. Trying to avoid the fare on the monorail. Yeah, attached to the side of it and just... Gotcha. Yeah! Oh, landed on the wheels too and didn't even drop it. If they're charging for monorail rides, that's not the sort of Mars colony I'm building. Monorail service in Mars First Logistics is so kind that you can press a button to teleport the entire monorail directly to you as a employee building the structures here. Oh. Let's see. This way. Gotta get remotely correctly aligned. There we go. Solar farm completed. Now we can make power lines. Yet more infrastructure that we can provide. Very simple task for our beeline buggy. That said, I think it's time to make an addition to our beeline buggy in the form of grappling capacity. I got an idea. A single spacer there, then T-junction on one side, the grappling hook, on the other, the theodolite. Simple as that. Hey, Solanum. Psst. Game audio seems a little quiet. There. Real wild terrain here. Growth of this channel has been slow and steady, and I feel endlessly grateful for the community that I've created here. And that is my cue to point at the little widget on the lower left there. One more person, and I'm at 150. 150 is just another number though, but that's one of those numbers that's nice looking. And here's the motivation. If you go and if you're the 150th, a whole bunch of sound effects will play of various kinds. Thank you, Twitch Alerts. And thank you to the royalty-free audio that I picked up. Ooh. Metal. That, I think, is too high for my arm to reach. There we go. Took me a moment to figure out how to rotate that stuff in a way that'll
Thank you GeForce 917 for following.
There we go. $150. Thanks so much, y'all. It has always been my goal to show people fascinating indie games that do something nobody else has tried before, and approach them both to have fun, obviously, but to explain why I think they're unique, what they do special, and provide at least some level of analysis on the details behind what works and what doesn't with a game. I love experiments, even failed ones, and indie games are where you find that stuff. Something, the endless kaleidoscope of different experiences possible to find in the indie sphere. Probably gonna need a better suited vehicle. Spinosaurus with a great sword is the game that you played recently. Heck yeah. Alright. How do I want to approach this? I wonder if this fell, I'll do it. Reset contract. That back where it belongs. I think I found an issue with my plan here. Cool, now I can spin my vehicle instead. That said, I think that's good enough. Because now I can just grab it from over here instead of grabbing it vertically. The main thing was to make sure that it doesn't roll off its holder the wrong... Did I manage to wedge it completely? Oh my god. There's no way. There, okay. Unfortunately, we do have a second problem here. And that, one, there's a mountain in the way. Two, we are now stuck. I think it's time to attach a grappler to every single one of our vehicles at this point. And you might be wondering, wait a second, wouldn't a grappler make hauling objects way easier? You are not allowed to stab the objects. A really smart, like, way to handle that. Just allow the player to have a grappling hook, but don't allow them to actually grab the objects that way. It's a really elegant solution, allowing a lot of creativity without completely ruining the rest of the game. Because if that was allowed, then there would... the entire concept of the objects being weird and unwieldy would be lost, because you could just... as long as you can shoot it with the grapple, you're good. Get out of here. Why would you build a warehouse there anyway? It seems ill-advised at best. Being a Mars rover operator seems like getting pranked sometimes. $150, huh? Thanks, y'all. Architect did a bog standard job. Thank you, Conley. This feels familiar somehow. We're at 150. I got... the number of followers I have ends in 50. And I'm slowly, desperately trying to claw myself up a mountain. Slowly but surely. Sound familiar? Getting over with Benefati's a cool game. I should look in to see if there's a modding scene around that game, because I would love to climb other mountains using that system. Many games that folks find frustrating, I actually find kind of meditative. That was definitely one of them. Sure, there's other games in the genre, but I'm specifically talking about other games using that sledgehammer physics system. That's the part that entrances me about it, is I really like unusual control schemes. And I'm strangely adept at acclimating to them quickly. Okay. On the move. I'm still surprised at how having slightly closer to the ground racing wheels makes a false version of suspension. When the racing wheel suspension bottoms out, the main tires come into contact. Ends up making a strange multi-layer suspension that actually makes the car handle quite well, considering why I'm putting it through. And then those black spheres there, as a reminder, are weights. So by putting those weights equidistant in the middle of my vehicle, I've made sure that there's always a little bit of fundamental spring compression. Each of the wheels comes with a little bit of suspension pre-attached, but generally speaking, it's not enough, and it's good to A, unlock, and B, use the actual spring tension in order to reinvent the concept of suspension using your own tools. But for a cheap solution, this is really impressive. Nice to be driving around this world again. Heh. Uh-oh. There's the twist. The delivery point is up friggin' there. No, 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 no. I pressed the wrong button and I let go of the thing. Let's go a little bit slower now, I suppose. Yeah! Hey, GeForce. Phantom Mars first logistics then? Yeah. I've got some rocketry available, but just with the route I've taken through the game. Man, I've done a lot. I think I'm still a little short on funds for me doing major rocketry logistics stuff. Hippers, to answer your question, nah. This version of Mars is designed. Gameplay took priority above realism in basically every aspect. They wanted to make a fun to traverse Mars. I think it was the right choice, honestly. Considering how playful and toyish this game is, making things fun and silly feels like a thematically and visually appropriate approach to it. It is a fun and toyish game about building fun and toyish rovers, so it should be set in a fun and toyish Mars to do deliveries in.
We're together. Riverside Wings just rated with 3 viewers.
Hey, Riverside. Thanks for stopping by. North Star forever. You know, someday I'll actually ask you what that means, but... I think I still don't actually know. Lego Technic on Mars. Technic was a thing I was interested in as a kid, but I don't think I actually had brain the brain capacity or focus for it when at the age that I had basic access to a few of those pieces. I wasn't quite, like, in a position to understand them, you know? But yeah, I absolutely see the comparison, though, and due to how easy the builder in this game is, I feel it's a nice proxy for me to use that allows for a lot more rapid iterating than building with actual real-world physical LEGO Technic would, you know? I am perfectly content with my simulation of them, you know? And yes, as a reminder, Riverside Wings is the one that would join me on our just concluded Jazztronauts feature. And will be my co-host for a future project that will be in maybe a month or so? Oh, do you think it would be more useful to adjust my grip on this thing in order to be able to not drag it across the floor constantly? I disagree. I am going to just keep... Whoa. That was weird. Accidentally... Huh. No. Okay, I guess the decision has been made for me. I am re-grabbing that in a different way. Glad I had the grappling hook already selected. It allowed me to just look down and immediately shoot. Hello again, Tornado. And there's the twist. We need to get this thing vertically aligned. Thankfully, I think this vehicle should be suited for the job. You should sort of naturally end up at that position once both wires are at tension. Easy as pie. By this point, you're probably noticing a pattern here. There's so much raw material. Goodness gracious. What can I say? I find mining in video games to be really fun. I've played I have played enough different versions of fishing in video games that you gotta do something really unique with your fishing minigame to catch my attention anymore. I'm not, to admit it, I'm not entirely pleased with the sort of trend of fishing minigames should just be Stardew Valley's fishing minigame again. Fish Fear Me. Yeah, okay. That's a good example of a fishing game that does something interesting with its fishing minigame, if you can even call it that. Yeah, there we go. That's my answer. It was nice, like for sure, and I got a lot of time out of it. But between me playing a bunch of Stardew and me playing a bunch of other fishing-focused games that also use that exact same mechanic, I did sort of reach the point of I don't even want to look at that fishing meter ever again. Love Snake Farm. Okay, yeah, you're GeForce. You are my kind of people. Check through my archives on YouTube if you want to see a playthrough of Snake Farm, a playthrough of Fish Fear Me, a playthrough of Unfair Flips, Heather Flowers' most recent game, or a crap ton of other strange single-session indie games that are doing bizarre stuff like that. Heather Flowers' work is a mainstay of this channel. The Fell For It Again award. Once again, I forgot to actually put beacons down. Is this mountain tall enough to see one? Yeah. Sneaky fuel theft. Ooh, that's a cool looking building. Inky waters reach for you. As above, go below. Blood and water mix and flow. Leviathan demands its due. Inky waters reach for you. Really like the understated implied detail in Fish Fear Me that you have a fishing rod, but what you're actually doing with it is you are tossing bait into the water to make the fish angry and like swarm around, and then you're just smacking the fish with your fishing rod. You are not using a hook, you are not there's no wire attached to the thing. You are just using it as a stick to slap fish with. Fish Slapper 5000. Behold, I have reinvented the trailer hitch. Oh wow, that's like the exact perfect height. Pivoting thrusters, yeah. This length of spring, like the low tension long one, is the first one I got. And so creating this extremely wide stance vehicle felt kind of ridiculous, but it's actually working really well. And yeah, thanks for stopping by the stream. It's lovely to have someone in the chat I can talk vehicle design shop with for this game. Shin Destroyer 5000, yeah. Yeah. Oh, and it even latches naturally on the... Mmm. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Relays, huh? I haven't touched those yet. That's like the name of one of the parts, right? That was added in 1.0, so I sort of looked at it and I'm like, I'm not entirely sure what this does or how it works, so I'm gonna punt that problem down the road. I see, I see. Fortunately, I made the semi-foolish decision of only having one grappler on this vehicle. If I had two, I could right myself. But with only one, I just have to trust in luck and rotational energy to kind of finagle my way to a vertical position. Over on the Discord, I've definitely seen a few designs of people who have made just fully functional, like, what's the term? 6 degrees of freedom thrusters. Full gimbaling. For CS thrusters. I don't have those yet. That sounds fascinating, though. But yeah, my understanding is they add a lot of late game tech into the game that will be entirely new to me, and relays and RCS are two of those. I'm looking forward to being surprised by what comes up next. I love watching the wheels just sort of start grooving as they bend in and out from the suspension lowering. If you want a more realistic simulation kind of game that nonetheless has this sort of like mechanism and building sort of stuff, a game I might recommend is Stormworks Search and Rescue. STORMWORKS. It's had its ups and downs in its development, and the game has been pretty janky, but it also has allowed for a huge amount of wild creativity. And as with many of those sorts of games, the thing that becomes the most memorable to me is when I accidentally solve a logistics problem in a way that makes sense to me, and then I look it up in real life and discover that's how it's actually done in the real world for the same reasons that I did it in game. And Stormworks had at least one or two different situations where exactly that occurred. Rocker bogie type suspension. NASA Mars or I'll have to look that up. That sounds really, yeah. The problem that I ended up solving in Stormworks, though, that was a real one, was it's a soft roll, but this game is pretty kid-friendly, and so I wanted to keep it that way. It's sort of a vibes of the game kind of deal. So don't worry about it, friend. It's the sort of thing where I know that there's going to be kids watching my streams regardless of whether I want them to or not, you know? So, for games that are kid-friendly, I at least try and... Yeah, maybe it is time for me to actually canonize that as a rule. And probably at asides. Yeah, my policy is I don't make content targeted at kids, but kids are gonna wander around the internet regardless, you know? And so there's going to be games that are rated M that I play, and there already have been. And for those, I'm very clear that this is 18 restricted no matter what. Do not test me. But for games like this, I kind of try and keep a balance, you know? It's just... Let's see, how do I word this? I try and maintain the same atmosphere as the game itself does. I can be rowdier and... I guess this is my mimic self-talking here. Slime mimic. But... if the game is wild or violent or has swearing in it, then I am likely to meet it on the same sort of tone. And if the game is completely family-friendly, then the stream of it will probably be as much as I can remember to, as well. This is how cranes are supposed to work, did you know? This is how you're supposed to use a crane. I just got an achievement for annoying a Martian. This is extremely a smart solution to this. See? What did I say? Extremely a smart solution to this. I bet you doubted me just for a second. Oh, there's a whole bunch of ore there. That is... oh. That, I think, is a beautiful piece of accidental comedy that Steam creates, in that the Steam overlay isn't shown, but you still hear the sound effects from it. So that allowed you to, as you described, hear the bedoop noise of me getting an achievement, and knowing that achievement I got was Pest, for forcing a Martian to fly 50 meters into the air. But yeah, to sort of conclude the thoughts that I've been talking about here, just idly. Games are made by people. Games are art. And art can be anything. Art can be family friendly, art can be extremely unfamily friendly, art can be transgressive, art can be disgusting. And all of that is still art, and I like to highlight the wide variety that can arise from this, you know? And so that means that there is going to be an extremely large net that I cast in terms of what games I'm going to play and what I'm willing to stream. I do have some upset about how Twitch policies are implemented and how general streaming policies and payment processor policies are implemented. The logic and design behind the rules are very inconsistent, and also do not follow any sort of legal guidelines or rationality. I don't think it's, strictly speaking, an existential threat for my channel, but it is a threat that nonetheless hinders what I am able to do for my overall mission of showing the endless kaleidoscope of different types of art that exist in the indie sphere. Alright. I was just sort of brainlessly driving. Corelessly? Mindlessly? I've got a slime core. That's where my thoughts are held. Yeah, there's... Once again, I don't want to discuss this stuff too much on this particular stream, for the reasons that we have extremely been over at this point, but like one of the developers have highlighted here several times has 2 or 3 games that I can't stream that I think are absolutely fantastic. And while they're not that bad, they're still on the wrong side of the policy. I wish to show y'all the Sabbath. And here we are. We have completed... Hold on. Did I... Yeah, sure, I'll take that mission. Deliver Sandworm. We have created a beautiful place of entertainment for the Martian colonists. A lovely little carnival. White Snake is background music. I am unfamiliar with what that means. Like, we gotta, right? We have to. Oh, but let's look at the Ribbon Rider. The Ribbon Rider shows us a couple new pieces that are... Torsion springs, yes. And so, as you can see, the vehicle does bend down a little bit. bubble launcher. I have not. But yes, ribbon rider. These little cone things will make a little glowing ribbon for decoration. In addition, you can paint them any color that you want. And so I plan to do something kind of fun with that. Fun and cute plan. You think that's a victory or not? I can't tell. One more. It could be that I've already gotten the achievement, because I have gotten to this point before in the game. Ooh, I got an idea. We need to be able to slam without recoiling. I think I might have gotten it. Hey, Bucket Lamp. Nice to see you. I have to assume that I'm maxing it out. And yeah, Bucket Lamp regarding ads. The semi-solution that I've come up with is the only way I can not interrupt the stream in some way is to make it so the first hour of the stream is completely ad-free. And then if you tune in from that point on, that's the best I can do without actively interrupting my stream to run an ad. I don't have my tiny rover saved. I should fix that. I love the mouse droid rover.
See how they shine.
Bucket Lamp just cheered 100 bits.
Thank you, Bucket Lamp.
See how they shine.
That...
Bucket Lamp just cheered 100 bits.
Oh no, is that going to just repeat over and over again?
See how they shine.
Bucket Lamp just cheered 100 bits.
See how they shine.
Bucket Lamp just cheered 100 bits.
I think I made it the minimum $1, like 100 bits specifically for this reason.
See how they shine.
Bucket Lamp just cheered 100 bits.
But you know, if you're willing to pay 100 bits to make it spam that over and over again, I think that's allowed. I'm willing to allow that. No guarantees that's actually going to duplicate it, the number that you did so, but... Let's take our little baby rover on a exploration. Whee! Rovers need entertainment too. The rovers are our friends. Ah, goodness, once again, I'm tearing up at how cute and purple this little rover is. Look at him. Also, there's a show going.
See how they shine.
Conley Basher just cheered 100 bits.
It's time.
They're doing a not synchronized dance. I feel like they're supposed to be synchronized, but I love my tiny rover.
See how they shine.
Conley Basher just cheered 100 bits.
This is not going to stop being funny. Just
See how they shine.
Bucket Lamp just cheered 100 bits.
I can't properly continue the stream while there's all these alerts going. But since we're just, riding on the Ferris wheel, I suppose you picked a decently good time. Because I certainly can't focus while you're doing this.
See how they shine.
Conley Basher just cheered 100 bits.
For the sake of... Okay, I need to talk a little...
See how they shine.
Bucket Lamp just cheered 100 bits.
When I'm able to talk, I'd like to talk about some behind-the-scenes things here. The To Another Place...
You're a star.
doesn't stop! Deep breaths. Okay. So, the most common redeem that I figured that people would be doing is To Another Place. And because the game, You Are Such a Soft and Round Kitten...
Another place.
Yeah, that one. Thank you. Thank you for the great demonstration. Because that one... Because the game...
We've come a long way.
F_Zoe_Blackheart just subscribed for 8 months.
Hey, Juneflower. I was talking about one of your games earlier.
A good thing.
Naughty Fox just subscribed with Prime.
I'm not going to be able to talk ever, am I? This is just my life now, isn't it? Yeah, I was talking a little bit about policy on Twitch and just...
See how they shine.
Bucket Lamp just cheered 100 bits.
Good lord. And how... It was sort of a discussion on how I tend not to swear for games like these, because these games are family-friendly, and I want... Kids are probably going to watch my stuff, but at a broader sense, I want to be able to stream all the wide array of different games that exist. And so I was lamenting not being able to play a certain Sabbath game by you. And while I could bend the rules, it technically doesn't fall within the Twitch guidelines as written. So I was just lamenting that a bit and thinking on, payment processors and all that sort of stuff. Okay. With that out of the way, when I played that Sylvie game that was called You Are Such a Soft and Round Kitten, made for 5-minute games, 5 MG, or 10 MG, 10-minute games, they used that audio clip, they used To Another Place, and specifically they used 3 different audio line reads of it from a royalty-free set of audio intended for vocalizations to put in your own songs. And Sylvie used these for her game, so every time you go through a door in that game, it yells, "To another place!" And I went and downloaded it and discovered that there are in fact 9 line readings of it, 3 soft ones, 3 medium, and 3 hard. And so because I figured that one was going to be the one that was the most used, I went through the effort to implement each individual audio file to play randomly. But all of the audio files in that are, in fact, have 9 different variants. So y'all, through your actions, have convinced me that if that's going to happen again, if that's going to happen again, I should probably implement the other 8 line reads of See How They Shine. And yes, that one's on a cooldown. That way it can't be spammed really hard by
See
everyone.
how they shine.
But there's
Conley
no
Basher just cheered 100 bits.
cooldown for literally giving me money, because that feels like a bad decision to do. So yes, you can...
See how they shine.
Bucket Lamp just cheered 100 bits.
Oh, it's all gone off the rails. I'm just driving into the void. I'm not even doing anything anymore in the game. Okay.
See how they shine.
Conley Basher just cheered 100 bits.
The thing is, I did account for this.
See how they shine.
Bucket Lamp just cheered 100 bits.
When I was setting up my channel and doing all the sort of initial fixing up at the advice of Jade the Kobold, and who was a little bit of my streaming mentor for first getting started. Let's see, let me make sure I have Jade's username right. Oh right, they're on YouTube. So at Jade the Kobold on YouTube, not Twitch. Oh, okay. But it was a distinctive decision on my part to make it so the minimum amount of bits that you can provide is 100, which translates to, I think, $1 US. I specifically chose not 1 bit to avoid the exact potential issue that potential non-issue that we're running into right now of people spamming the minimum amount in order to just cause a whole bunch of alarms to activate. Okay, build power line, accept mission, warp there, and now we can actually do a job here. Goodness gracious. Okay. So here's our vehicle of our own design, and we unlock a camera if we build power lines from here all the way to 5.5 kilometers away. All the alerts overlap as a potential solution. Kind of tempting, I will admit. But no, I think this is actually funnier. And so in conclusion, the 100 bits allows you to spam me, potentially, and completely derail the stream. I am not fixing this. Working as intended. Feature, not a bug. Yep. You can't completely derail the stream for free by spending 1 bit over and over, but if you want to derail the stream that badly, who am I to stop you? Uh, uh, it's a rich man's world. So true, Juneflower. There's that one song that goes, "If I were a rich man, do 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 do." That's from something of which I don't know. I've just heard my dad say that before. Hang on, this is bothering me a little bit, so I'm going to fix it. Let's make the trailer hitch actually start out folded. And then save vehicle. It's my infrastructure. I can do it. I can use it for whatever I want. I've done that a few times, Juneflower. Just flying along and while flying, deploy, build a new object. Very satisfying when it works. One time I was flying past my destination. This was when I played the early access version of this game. I was flying past the destination, and I aimed sideways toward my destination. Mid-air built a transmitter pole, like a signal pole, and then grappled onto it and swung myself toward the destination from there. Earn their spot at Structure Valhalla. Creeper World 4 is the game that introduced us to the concept of Structure Valhalla for anyone who's not deep on their move stream and jokes and lore. Because Creeper World 4 made the bold decision that absolutely every structure that you put down when it gets destroyed by the blue sludge called Creeper, every one of those buildings, to alert you that's been destroyed, produces a ghost that flies up into the sky. So your base can absolutely be destroyed, and you will see 70 ghosts of power poles fly up into the sky. That's a really cute feature that they implemented for the 1.0 release of this game. Completing side jobs will turn an area from a construction site to a proper building of some sort. The game used to have a weird sort of sensation of there are already existing structures way out there, leaving you kind of wonder, like, which did a poor job of selling the idea that you are directly responsible for allowing infrastructure to be built on Mars. because there was just an endless ocean of already established buildings. Ultimate goal. There are main contracts that have a storyline to them to some degree. And I don't know what the ending of this game is, because there wasn't one back when I played the early access release. So I don't quite know what the goal I'm building toward is, but I can tell you that there's a long abandoned contract to deliver creative apples that I've been neglecting this entire time. And that's a main story one, so. Earlier, one of the main goals that we just finished was... Where are we here? Yeah. We finished the assembly of a solar farm salt reactor by delivering the thingamabob at the top there. And then 3 separate wind turbines, and link them up to the carnival, which gave us a fully functional carnival for our little friends. So goals in that sense. Your goal is building more architecture for this, which makes it the world's second Strand game, as Kojima puts it. This is a game about building infrastructure to connect isolated societies together. Which, not too far off the description that Stranding was built around, right? Admittedly, I haven't actually played that game, but nonetheless. Yeah, monorails, transmitters. Each of the transmitters needs to be in visual range of... non-occluded visual range of another one. Stuff like that, you know? Yep. Gotta do a sneaky refuel by warping to a station, then warping to the transmitter again. At this point, I can probably afford to just put more fuel tanks on this thing. I've made a fair bit of money. I mean, one of our randomly... So yeah, there's storyline contracts that make unique buildings, and there's also a bunch of unique items that are reserved for side missions that are procedurally generated, that have a payout that's usually related to how difficult it expects it is, based on distance and unwieldiness of the object or something like that. But because they're procedurally generated, aka random, there's going to be some side missions that are way, way harder than they have any right to be. Or it's hilariously easy. But one of the greatest strengths of this game, in my opinion, is the creativity that the developer uses for the types of... the creativity in the design of the unwieldy and unique ways objects the game has. And so there's some things that are uniquely easy to hold, like a watering can, because it's got that nice little spot that you can hook onto, so you can just use a basic hook and grab it, and there you go. But then there's also objects that fall apart if you knock them against the ground, and while you can deliver the individual parts safely, you'll have to pick them up. And stuff like that. And one of the side contracts I just got is to deliver a sandworm, which presumably might actually wiggle around while I carry it. And then there's an extremely dense matter sample that presumably is unbelievably heavy to carry. Operate Again award. I forgot to put transmitters down. See, like that, I just spilled a crate full of apples. Good job, me. But yeah, as you put a transmitter down, your radius for which you can explore expands. You can mine rocks, which gives you the resources in order to build any type of infrastructure that isn't a transmitter. Let's reset that thing, and before I forget, add a couple fuel tanks too. Oh, and also, another thing I almost forgot. What does the camera do? Let's find out. Cool. And it allows you to continue operating your vehicle. So if you actually wanted to be first person, you could absolutely attach it to the front of the rover. Slime rover win. I can tell you one thing. This game does in fact have a slime delivery mission as one of the possible random side missions. I have delivered a goo and slime to a location before. It made me very happy. Goo and slime! Goo and slime! An undocumented feature that was only discovered, that was apparently in the very first early access build, but only discovered just before 1.0 came out, is the more red your rover is, the faster it goes. Honest to God, actual feature of the game. Rovers that are red drive a bit faster. Alright. Let's use this weird monstrosity, although let's also add a couple grapple points to it. Nothing to it but to do it. Technically, we could individually grab each of these apples, but I think it's a better idea to reset this and maybe approach it a bit differently. Did I actually end up creating a... Yes, I did make this thing. This thing is ridiculous, but it might genuinely get the job done. Be here. Might have a way to do this. This maybe will work. See? The gif of the garbage truck slamming the can against itself. Let's see. Where's the really short connector? Like quarter spacer or whatever. Ah. Okay, then 90 degrees, and in theory, I may have not thought this through. Yeah, you get the idea at least, but okay, no, I have a way to do this. Like that. Video games are cool. We can be sneaky about it. Oh, that's not particularly well aligned at all. There we go. Please work. Let's not fall off a cliff. We've gotten this far, let's not screw it up that way. And so yeah, the apples don't necessarily need to be in their case, but all items for the delivery need to be in that zone at the same time. Working on a bridge. Save my revamp to this vehicle, and then switch back to my beeline buggy. I do want to make one more change to this thing. Quad connector. Yeah, okay. And grappling hook on one side, theodolite on the other. An extra grappling hook for good measure. Repaint it to fit the color scheme. Make each of the tools themselves purple. And now we are in a position where we can hell yeah. But yeah, it's very easy to make striped flag patterns via driving just by attaching adjacent banner flags. And if you look at the right angle, you don't even see any seam between them. It's rad as hell. Mars says trans rights. Hell yeah. Right then. Next contract. I wonder if this thing will fit. No, because I can't angle it that way. This is actually an old design of mine that I wasn't allowed to use until now, because I only just got access to the grappling hooks. But it is intended for and well suited for tasks such as this one. And in addition, to make sure that grabs inside, I can bend the elbow joint in the middle, which puts tension on it. And then just like that, we drive off. I want to visit the moon and go to a swimming pool there. I want an indoor swimming pool on the moon. Think about what you could do with that. Low gravity swimming seems like it would be really fun. And as per usual, here's the twist. We need to make a vehicle with a really wide wheelbase in order to drive across that. Sizing. One more on each side. Okay, looks good. Copy paste, copy paste. Yep, that's workable. Although with one tiny change. There we go. Now this thing needs to actually be a horizontal grabber with a extremely wide ability to grip. I have an idea for a design I haven't actually tried yet. Just now. I want to see if this works. Have the grip point be at the center, but pneumatic cylinders are on both sides of it. That means that when fully compressed, the pneumatic cylinders will have the object gripped at the center of mass in alignment with the vehicle. Space Hater. Space Hater would be a pretty good name for a video game. Hell, I made a video game that actually fits under that description. That was a little experimental game jam thingamabob. Very grippy. Put these on the same signal wavelength. When in doubt, make it wider. Make it longer, make it bigger. By putting these in line, I have both fast and fine motor control. I'm actually pretty happy with that grabber design. Hell yeah. Slowly and carefully. And just like that. Bridge completed. Get that vehicle saved, and let's check out the climber. Whoa. Those are dangerous looking wheels. They're electromagnets. Any man-made structure, these have magnetic grip on. Look at the little fella. And before there's color in book mode, a absolutely adorable feature. Altered. Yes! Oh, I've unlocked all the pieces needed for this thing. This is the funniest creation I've ever made. Portable holiday. Portable beach vacation. I love this stupid thing. Anyway. We're getting close to being able to make a lot of my old designs. Come on, little buddy. Gently grip like hamburger. There you go, little buddy. Turtle delivery. Small, small turtle house. Don't mind me just remembering what happened earlier in the stream. Taking a mental note that I need to add the other voice reads for See How They Shine into the stream later. The episode's done. But for now, turtle. Turtle terrarium. I think that will be deliver anti-gravity device. But yeah, this behaves how you'd expect. And it's also got like all those segments around it wiggling, so it's really hard to grab. And if you bump it wrong, it'll just float away. Like I said, they're very clever and interesting with the logistical challenges that they create via side jobs and via the main contracts too. These are actually kind of early game missions that I'm doing later. I think it's expected that you do the grappling hook and carnival stuff significantly after this, but nonetheless, that's just where my road took me this time. I wanted a grappling hook, and so I got myself a grappling hook, and then while I was there, I said, why not finish everything here? In any case, though, big stretch, and I think that's going to do it for today. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel and for tuning in and everything, and for 150 followers. As always, the VOD for this will be available on YouTube, and while I cannot control the rate for which ads appear on these live streams as they occur, it is my plan that my YouTube videos never have any ads. I want to run this channel as much like a public broadcast as I can, and that extends to being primarily funded by viewers like you. So, thank you so much, everyone, for your contributions, and let's see what we can raid on over to, shall we? Maniac is just starting up with a stream. Maniac is a fellow from the Bad Game Hall of Fame circles, which I also owe to my getting where I am as a VTuber. Their help early on was invaluable. And so they're playing Haunted PS1 Demo Disc 2020. So if you want to see some spooky modern indie games made with a retro styling, short form experiences, it is a compendium of 18 of them. Yep, looks like they're just getting set up, so perfect timing. Stick on by if you'd like to raid into them. Check out their stuff.
To another place.
And to another place, my friends.